How do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't you think it's a little bit strange that Ronald Reagan had an operation on his asshole and George Bush had an operation on his middle finger? Huh? And it still amazes me that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how they do that. Well, it's good to be back here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. DFW. Oh, DFW. Here back in DFW. Well, I worked in Fort Worth a long time ago. We'll get this sound straightened out while I tell you these little bullshit stories, okay? Actually, they're not bullshit stories. I did work on the radio back in Fort Worth a long time ago, and it's a Christian station now. How the fuck did that happen? Everything's different. The name of the place is different, the location is different, and the music is different. Now, is that the same radio station? That's what I want to know. It's still on 1360. Like if you have a sock, and it's been darned so many times that none of the original material is left, is that the same sock? Well, that's the problem I have knowing whether the fuck that's the radio station I used to be on or not. It's the same kind of frequency. Anyway, now we got the sound figured out. I'd like to give you my opening announcement, which is what I usually do right here at the beginning. This is the opening announcement concerning the language in our show tonight. You see it with the Tipper Gores and the Jesse Helmses and the Donald Wildmans and a lot of other moral commandos roaming around. I'm never really sure what it is I'm allowed to say anymore, so I now have my own official language policy. This is the language you will not be hearing tonight. You will not hear me say bottom line, game plan, role model, scenario, or hopefully. I will not kick back, mellow out, or be on a roll. I will not go for it, and I will not check it out. I don't even know what it is. And when I leave here, I definitely will not boogie. I promise not to refer to anyone as a class act, a beautiful person, or a happy camper. I will also not be saying, what a guy. And you will not hear me refer to anyone's lifestyle. If you want to know what a moronic word lifestyle is, all you have to do is realize that in a technical sense, Attila the Hun had an active outdoor lifestyle. I will also not be saying any cute things, such as moi. And I will not use the French adverb très to modify any English adjectives, such as très awesome, très gnarly, très fabou, très intense, or très out of sight. I will not say concept when I mean idea. I will not say impacted when I mean affected. There will be no hands-on, state-of-the-art networking. We will not maximize, prioritize, or finalize, and we definitely will not interface. There will also be no New Age lingo spoken here tonight. No support group jargon from the human potential movement. For instance, I will not share anything with you. I will not relate to you, and you will not identify with me. I will give you no input, and I will expect no feedback. This will not be a learning experience, nor will it be a growth period. There'll be no sharing, no caring, no birthing, no bonding, no parenting, no nurturing. We will not establish a relationship, we will not have any meaningful dialogue, and we definitely will not spend any quality time. We will not be supportive of one another so that we can get in touch with our feelings in order to feel good about ourselves. And if you're one of those people who needs a little space, move to fucking Wyoming! All right. We will, of course, be talking about those little moments Those little moments in life, those little embarrassments that seem to last forever. Have you ever been in a serious social situation when you suddenly realize you have to pull the underwear out of the crack in your ass? You take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife? Huh? Who, her? Oh, hell yeah. Well, it's one of life's little moments, isn't it? One of those little moments you have to deal with at the time. At the time. You can't postpone that. You can't put that off and be walking around like this. You've got to get in there and clear that thing out. You've got to rescue your underwear. There's a letter in your mailbox. And you have to rectify that situation so that you can move along to your next embarrassing moment, which is probably scheduled immediately. That's the way life is. You know that, full of those little moments. Everybody recognizes them. Everybody knows about them. You ever been at a really loud party? I mean, a noisy kind of party where the music is too loud and everybody is talking too loudly to be heard over the music. And you, in order to be heard even by the person standing right next to you, have to be screaming at the top of your lungs. But every now and then at a party, it seems as though everyone shuts up at the same time. And only your voice can be heard ringing across the room. Right, I know. Well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have my testicles laminated. Life's little moments. You ever been talking to someone and you laugh through your nose and blow a snot on your shirt? And you have to just kind of keep talking, you know, and make believe it's part of the design. It works all right if you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but otherwise they're gonna notice. Ed, you got a big snot on your shirt. Well, some people are alarmingly direct. You ever been talking to someone and a little bit of spit, just a little bit of spit, flies off your tongue and lands right on the man's nose, and he doesn't notice it? And you're thinking, Jesus, didn't he see that? And you want to reach over and rub it off. Don't do it, it'll evaporate. Science comes to the rescue. Do you ever belch and almost puke? And you think, Jesus, I almost puked. I come damn near puking here. Turns out it was a belch, but puke was involved. This was a puke-related belch. Or sometimes, just before you belch, while you're still in the pre-belch mode, you have a decision to make. Should this one be audible? Or should I sneak this one past the gang and keep it to myself? You know how you do that? By opening your throat to its roundest configuration, thereby allowing the column of foul air to escape you. It sounds like this. And it's at a moment like that that you can taste a hot dog you had 6 weeks ago. Quite a bargain, the hot dog. Still paying off a month and a half later. It's a real inflation fighter. Do you ever have to sneeze while you're taking a piss? God, it's frightening, isn't it? Actually, you can't do it. It's physically impossible. Your brain won't let it happen. Your brain says, stop pissing! We're going to sneeze! Your brain knows. You might blow your asshole out. And wind up painting the entire house. Now, these last few things I mentioned, we hope, are things that happen when you're alone. The original idea was embarrassing moments, things which, of course, that implies other people around. And these things are not always your fault. Every time you're in some embarrassing social situation doesn't mean you caused it, you know, and that's what pisses you off. That's how a lot of these serial murderers get started, I think. You know, they get embarrassed, and then they have to kill 12 to 16 people over a 9-year period. But these are not always your fault. Give you an example of the kind of thing I mean. You ever meet somebody, you walk up to a group of people, you know some of them, and one of them says, hey, I'd like you to meet my friend. And you go to shake the guy's hand, and you suddenly realize he doesn't have a complete hand. It's something wrong there. There's little knobs, there's a couple of fingers are gone, or whatever is wrong. You don't have a hand in your hand. It's a thing you don't know. And it's not your fault that this is happening. You didn't conceive this person. You didn't have to check on his mother taking her vitamins during her pregnancy. It's not your responsibility. But you're the one who's all hung up holding this goddamn thing that's supposed to be a hand. And you have to make believe it feels great. You know, you can't be going, ah! Ah! You can't do that. It's not even an option. You gotta hang in there and say, hi, hey, swell hand. Give me 3. High 3, yo. Not your fault. You didn't cause that, but you're the one who has the burden. Give you another example, same kind of thing, but this one happens much more often in real life. You'll recognize this one. You ever meet somebody and the first thing you notice is that both of his eyes don't look in the same place at the same time. Eventually, of course, they're going to see the same things. But they'll see them on different schedules. They're independently targeted eyes. Not your fault. You didn't cause that. You didn't sneak up behind the guy 5 years ago and hit him in the head with a big piece of wood. But you're the one who has all the pressure. You're the one who has all the responsibility, because you're the one who has to decide which eye to look at. And you don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. That's the last thing you want to do. In fact, I try to save their feelings. I do everything twice, once for each eye. Hi, hi! But they really don't care for that shit at all. And after a while, you begin to notice, that by God, one of those eyes is looking at me a little more than the other one. And you think to yourself, okay, that's the one I'm going to go with. And as you bear down and concentrate on that single eye, you begin to realize that for 15 minutes, he's been describing a tree down there. Not your fault. You didn't cause that. You weren't even there when it happened to the guy.
You were probably just trying to get home. Isn't that all you're ever trying to do, basically? During the day is get home? Shit, that's my main mission. As soon as I leave the house in the morning, I'm thinking to myself, well, time to get the fuck home.
Time to get home to your pets.
Your little pets who are waiting faithfully at the door for you. Just so glad to see you when you get home. Oh, they love it when you get home. They don't, that unconditional love, I might add, by the way, they don't give a shit if you've been in jail or what. You could be gone 6, 7 years. They never seem to notice. They think you went out for coffee or something. They don't know. You can forget your hat and come back in 5 seconds and they'll go, say, for Christ's sakes, I was just here. Calm the fuck down, will you? Nice to have your pets waiting for you when you get home. Hey, nice to have a human being waiting for you too. That's good, get one of them. But pets are different. You know that, pets are different. Pets don't judge you. Pets don't keep track of every little thing. Pets don't have a mental scorecard they're keeping on you. God bless them, they just want to take a shit. That's why they're so goddamn glad you got home. Boy, I got a shit like a demon. I'm afraid to wag my tail. Yeah, it's nice to have your pets waiting for you when you get home.
Especially your dog. Your goddamn dog. That's my dog. Look at him.
That's my goddamn dog. Watch this.
Lie down.
No problem, Dan. He's brain dead. Here go my little doggy. That's my dog, isn't it something? That dog is different. You gotta admit, that dog's different. He ain't got but one leg. We gotta lean him up against something. You ought to see him when he starts to scratch. Wow! Everything moves and nothing happens. And I love my dogs, all of them. Every dog I ever had. I still remember them and I love them. Yeah, I had me a lot of dogs too, by the way. Had me a bunch of goddamn dogs in my lifetime because you do keep getting a new dog. You just keep getting one dog right after another. That's the whole secret of life. Life is a series of dogs. It's true, you just keep getting a new dog. That's what's good about them. They don't live too long. And you can go get a new goddamn dog. Sometimes you can get a dog looks exactly like the dog you just had. Ain't that right? You shop around a little bit, you can find you a dog identical to your former dog. And that's real handy because you don't have to change the pictures on your mirror or anything. You just bring the dead one into the pet shop. Throw the dead one on the counter, say, give me another one of them. That was real good. And they'll give you a carbon copy of your ex-goddamn dog. Now, my favorite dog that I ever had in my whole lifetime was Tippy. Yeah, little Tippy. Some of you know. I've talked about Tippy. By the way, I had to put out a contract on my recent dog. You know, I had to have somebody come over and kill her. See, I don't fuck around with euphemisms. I had the dog killed. It was either kill or die. She was getting ready to die. Annie. Big old goddamn dog. She was supposed to have been a German Shepherd when I got her. Didn't turn out. I call her my Austrian Shepherd because she never made it to the German border. But she was wonderful. I mean, I loved Annie. Annie was some fun. But she was a junkyard dog and lived her whole life out in California, which is nice. Anyway, that was Annie. Tippy was different. Tippy, I called her Tippy, because, by the way, because the tip of her tail had a different color than the rest of her. Isn't that a nice little story? Say, look at Tippy. Look at the little tail. It's got a white tip on it. Little Tippy was a good dog. Now, Tippy, unfortunately, was one of them dogs. Well, first of all, she was a mixed terrier, okay? A mixed terrier. You know that word mixed, that the veterinarian writes on the form. when even he don't know what the fuck you got. You bring in a little mixed puppy to a veterinarian and say, what is it? He say, well, it's definitely not a monkey. Tippy was actually part Dodge Dart. And a good little dog. Good little dog. Unfortunately, she was one of them dogs that couldn't look you in the eye. You ever have a dog like that, couldn't look you in the eye? Because most of them do. Most dogs will look right at you. Most dogs will give you a nice, healthy, alert, doggy look. And even if you make a funny noise, like, and they go, they're still basically looking right at you. Tippy couldn't do that. You ever have one of them dogs can't give you a straight look, to give you the furtive look from the side? Give you this kind of thing? Some sort of genetic guilt, you know, built into the breed, or something happened in the litter and they don't want to talk about it at all. That's the way Tippy looked, like she had done something horrible. I don't know what it was. Anything bad used to happen, we blamed it on Tippy. You know, hey, fuck, it looked like she did it anyway. Why waste a guilty look? Even if it was something that happened downtown. Did you do that, Tippy? Did you light that nursing home on fire? You know, I believe I did. Poor Tippy was full of guilt. So much guilt, in fact, she's the only dog I ever had who committed suicide. That's right. Well, you know, we don't say it like that around the house. We say she put herself to sleep. But she ran out in front of a milk truck. That's fucking suicide. But that was her decision. That's what Tippy wanted to do. And that's the way it is in our family. If you want to commit suicide, we back you up. So we supported Tippy in her little suicide decision. Then we brought her into the pet shop, threw her up on the counter and said, give us something bigger. We're trading up. We was looking for a bigger goddamn dog. Because Tippy had been teeny. Even before the truck came by. Truck had made her teenier. Wider, but teenier. And we was looking for a bigger goddamn dog. Not too big. I don't like a dog who's bigger than I am. You know, it's bad enough looking for shit in one direction without having to duck flying turds as well. A good rule of thumb is keep the dog's asshole below eye level. So we compromised and got us a mid-sized dog, just about like this, knee-high, best-sized dog you can own. Most people know this is the ideal-sized dog to have. You know why? Anybody comes to visit you, the first thing that dog does is take his nose and put it right in their crotch. Ooh, ooh, he smells my dog. No, Mary Sue, I don't believe that's the animal he has in mind. And people get embarrassed by that, don't they? People get embarrassed. Not so much the person being sniffed, the owner of the dog gets embarrassed. Something funny, the owner is saying, stop that. Will you stop that? Now, I'm awfully sorry about this. Stop that. Not me. I say, get in there and get some of that. Get in there and sniff that thing out. Go on. Listen, would you mind spreading your legs a little bit so he can get right in there? Yeah, stand like this for a little while, would you? Okay, looking good now. So how's your mom doing anyway? Well, God bless her. She's a wonderful woman. Go around back. Check it out in the back now. Sniff that other thing in the back. What's that? Well, there's two different smells he likes. What can I tell you? Don't pay him no attention. He'll be finished in about a half an hour. So listen, Reverend, it's real nice of you to come and call on us here. Yes, sir. Every one of us is always glad to see you around here. Especially that goddamn dog. Oh, those dogs are great. They'll break the ice when a new neighbor comes to call. Hi, we're the Johnsons. What's his name? Ball Sniffer. He's a crotch hound. Let me know if you want to get circumcised. He's on duty till 5 o'clock. Oh, dogs are so much fun. Do you ever have a dog that ate a bunch of colored balloons or eats a plastic toy and the next day he takes a shit and it's real decorative like? Or sometimes at Christmas they'll eat some tinsel and take a shiny shit. Wow, look, Mom, can we hang it on the tree? Well, it is considered good luck in certain cultures. Here's a little household hint for you. Help you clean up after your dog. Feed your dog rubber bands. Put about 8 or 10 rubber bands in with every meal you give them. Then when they take a shit, there's usually a little loop on one end of it. And it's real sanitary. You just pick it up by the loop and throw it in the neighbor's yard. Goddamn neighbor doesn't even have a dog. He'll wonder what the fuck these are. Yeah, a little household hint for you, huh? Bet you never read that one in Heloise, huh? Yeah, she knows about it, but she hasn't told anybody that one. Well, that's one of the things I like to do is give little hints, little household hints along with the jokes. That's why I travel around, little tips and suggestions for people. You know, people know that too. They get ready to say, hey, George is coming to town. We'll get some good tips and suggestions tonight. And I don't like to let them down, you know. So I have a few for tonight. Now, you may be aware of my more famous tips from the past. Some of them have gotten around pretty well by now. How to get rid of counterfeit money. Put it in the collection plate at church. They don't give a shit. They'll give it to somebody else. How to get out of jury duty. A lot of people try to get out of jury duty by lying. You don't have to lie to get out of jury duty. Tell the judge the truth. Tell him you'll make a really good juror because you can spot guilty people just like that. Tell him it all depends on how wide apart their eyes are. You'll be glad to hear that shit. Especially if his eyes are real wide apart. Well, tonight's suggestions are a little different. These are some things you can do to keep other people alert. Keep other people on their toes during the day when you're out and about your business, because people need that. You've noticed it happens. Just a lot of people go through life half asleep. They need a kind of a mental goose, a kind of a wake-up call. You know, there's people walking around. They got kind of a neutral zone up here. It's up to you to keep them on their toes. And I don't mean helpless or homeless people. I'm talking about fuckers with jobs. There are career-minded assholes walking around. And I say there are little things you can do to keep people alert. You ever try backing out of a drive-in bank? That's the kind of thing I mean. Or just walk up to someone on the street and say, pardon me, I have nothing to say. Someone asks you what time it is, you say, well, it's either 6:15 or Mickey has a heart on. Now, some of these suggestions are intended for use on retail clerks, because retail clerks seem to need special help. How many times have you walked into a store and realized immediately that the clerk was running on a lean mixture? The cheese fell off his cracker a long time ago. He's just a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic. Here's some things you can do to clerks. This is good for the gift shop. Walk right in the gift shop and ask for your gift. Say, I saw your sign, I came in for my gift. Save you the trouble of looking all over for me. Doesn't impress them, but it keeps them on their goddamn toes. Shit, they might even give you a little gift just to get rid of you. Or go running into any quiet little store on a Sunday morning and say, are you open on Thursdays? And then run. Let them figure it out. Hey, it's certainly none of your concern. Stand on line at the bank for a really long time. One of those new kind of lines they have at the bank. The common feeder line. Used to be every teller had his own line. Not anymore. Now you think you're at fucking Six Flags. Stand on line a long time. When you finally get up to the window, just ask for change of a nickel. They actually call other tellers over to look at you. Here's one you might try. Go into the photographer's studio in your area and ask the man if you can buy the pictures of the other people. Say, how much for that heavy-set couple in the window? Oh, they will stare at you a long time on that one. In fact, they might even back up several feet. This one is my current favorite. Go into the dry cleaners and ask the man if he can remove the stains from one pair of pants and put them in another pair of pants. They ought to be able to do that for the same amount of money. While you're in there, ask him if he can get pecker tracks off a wedding gown. That's the test of a really good dry cleaner. Come on lace. Go into a laundry, hand him your shirt and tell him to rotate the buttons. Go into a gun store, buy a gun, then buy some ammunition, then ask him if they have any ski masks. Here's a good one for the supermarket. Next time you're in the supermarket, get a shopping cart and fill it to the top. I mean a huge mound of groceries in your cart, and then go up to the line and look for somebody with one item and ask him if you can get ahead of him. Do you mind? I'm in a hurry. I only have 1,100 items. Run into a bakery and say, "Can you bake a cake in the shape of a penis?" They never know. They always have to have a meeting. Well, I don't know. Wait just a moment. Have you lived this for the possible it's shaped like a penis? Can we have a picture to go by? Well, no. But I tell you what I'm going to do for you, lady. Order more flour, Helen! Next time you're at a wishing well, I know it doesn't happen often. Next time you're at a wishing well, ask to see the manager. Tell him you're coming there for 12 years and none of your wishes have come true. Either you give me my money back or I'm shitting in the well. Here's a good one for the baseball park. Next time you're at the big stadium. Do you ever notice at the baseball games a lot of guys bring a glove? Fuck that, bring a bat. You see a foul ball coming? Hit it back to them. Hit it back to them. Wave to the pitcher. Blah! They'll think you're a fun fan. They'll think it's straitjacket night. Do you ever notice in some hotels they give you a little sewing kit? You know what I do? I sew the towels together. Sew the sheets to the drapes. Let them know you've been there. Sew a button on a lampshade. Let them figure it out. Hey, it's certainly none of your concern. Here's one for the guys. This is strictly for the guys. Go into a barber shop and tell the man you want to get your pubic hair streaked. Say nothing fancy, just frost my bush. They'll be talking about you for years. A man who had his bush hair sectioned off with aluminum foil. You might even be voted into the Bush Hall of Fame. Here's a good one if you're hitchhiking. A lot of people don't hitchhike anymore because they're afraid of being murdered. Fuck it, take a chance. You get out there and you hitchhike and some guy stops and says, "Where are you going?" Say, "Well, actually, I'm going back that way. You mind turning around?" Well, tell him you don't need a ride today, but next Friday I'm going someplace. Can I meet you here next Friday about 2 o'clock? Yeah, we're going to go pick up my mother. She's in Wheeling, West Virginia. Could I use the car tonight? A couple hours, maybe? You know, what the fuck? He's in a generous mood. Try to get a favor. Here's a good one when you're out drinking in a bar. Do you ever notice in the bar someone always says to you, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" Say, "No, thanks, but can I have the money instead?" Tell him you're saving up to buy your own goddamn bar. Same thing with coffee. Everybody wants you to have a cup of coffee. Have you noticed this shit? Everywhere you go, people offer you coffee. You go to their house, you go to where they work, they say, you want some coffee? I say, no thanks, I have some at home. However, we could use a little pancake mix. Well, shit, get something you need. You don't need coffee? Have a grocery list ready for this asshole. You got any of them SpaghettiOs? And ones with a little hunks of weenie in them? Okay, give me 3 cans of SpaghettiOs. How them cassava melons look today? Give me a nice medium-sized cassava, would you? And a box of Knox Jelly and a couple of rolls of toilet paper, and I'll get the hell out of here. I gotta get over to Dave's house and do my drugstore shopping. Old Dave's having a special on Q-tips. God, I'd hate to be a Q-tip, wouldn't you? Who knows where you might be put. Figure the water's safe to drink? Huh? I don't really give a shit. I just ask, kind of out of politeness, you know? It's not one of the things I worry about in life. Is the water safe? I guess it's a good abstract kind of thing to think about when you can't fall asleep or something, but I don't give a shit. I drink it anyway. You know why? Because I'm an American, and I expect a little cancer in my food and water. Goddamn right. I'm a loyal American, and I'm not happy unless I've let government and industry poison me a little bit every day. Shit, a little cancer never hurt anybody. Everybody needs a little cancer, I think. It's good for you. Keeps you on your toes. Keeps your immune system perked up. Besides, I ain't afraid of cancer. I had broccoli for lunch. Broccoli kills cancer. A lot of people don't know that. It's not out yet. Hadn't been on CNN, so they ain't heard about it. It's true, though. Broccoli kills cancer. So does cauliflower. Cauliflower kills the really big cancers. The ones you can see through clothing from across the street. Broccoli kills the little ones. The ones that are slowly eating you away from inside. While your goddamn goofy, half-educated doctor keeps telling you, you're doing fine, Jim. In fact, bring your doctor a bowl of broccoli. He's probably got cancer, too. Probably picked it up from you. They don't know what they're doing. It's all guesswork in a white coat. Here, let me have a few sips of industrial waste. Hey, maybe, just maybe, I can turn them cancers against one another. You know, that's what you gotta hope for in life, isn't it? That you get more than one cancer, so they eat each other up instead of you. In fact, the way I look at it, the more cancer you got, the healthier you are. Well, I know some people don't like you to talk about those things. I know that. I'm aware of that. Some people don't like you to talk about certain things, do they? There's a lot of things people don't want you to talk about, even in private. They say, well, we don't talk about that here, please. Let's not talk about that. That's not something we talk about in this house. Let's not talk about that. They want to talk about this, some don't want to talk about that. Some people don't want you to mention something like cancer. You're afraid if you mention it, it might happen. Some people are really fucking stupid. Have you ever noticed that, how many really stupid people there are walking around? God damn, there's a lot of stupid bastards in this country. I mean it. Carry a little pad and pencil with you someday. You'll wind up with 30 or 40 names at the end of the day. And if you don't go out, turn on the radio and listen to the call-in shows. That's where the rest of them are. Goddamn right. Oh, you can hear them all day long. Yeah, look at it this way. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then remember, half of them are stupider than that. And it doesn't take you very long to spot one of them, does it? It'll take you about 8 seconds, that's all. You be listening to some guy, you say, this guy is fucking stupid! Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're full of shit. That doesn't take very long to spot either, does it? Take about the same amount of time. You be listening to some guy and say, well, he's fairly intelligent. Ah, he's full of shit. Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're not full of shit. They're fucking nuts. Dan Quayle is all three. Your next president, stupid, full of shit, and fucking nuts. Now, speaking of people I can do without, I'd like to read to you my list, or recite for you, my list of people I can do without. Because I think each of us has a list like that inside his or her head. You know, mine is not so specific, it's more generic. People I can do without. Guys in their 50s named Skip. Anyone who pays for vaginal jelly with a Texaco credit card. An airline pilot who has on 2 different shoes. A proctologist with poor depth perception. A pimp who drives a Toyota Corolla. A gynecologist who wants my wife to have 3 or 4 drinks before the examination. Guys with a lot of small pins on their hats. Anyone who mentions Jesus more than 300 times in a 2-minute conversation. A dentist with blood in his hair. Any woman whose hobby is breastfeeding zoo animals. A funeral director who says, "Hope to see you folks again real soon." Teenage girls who get drunk and throw up at breakfast. A man with only 1 lip. A Boy Scout master who owns a dildo shop. Lawyers who wink a lot and refer to the police as the federales. A cross-eyed nun with a bullwhip and a bottle of gin. Guys who have their names printed on their belts. You know? Quite often they have a lot of small pins on their hats. A brain surgeon with "Born to Lose" tattooed on his hands. Couples whose children's names all start with the same initial. A man in a hospital gown directing traffic. A waitress with a visible infection on her serving hand. People who have large gums and small teeth. Guys who wear the same underwear until it begins to cut off the circulation to their feet. And any man whose arm hair completely covers his wristwatch. All right, enough of that silliness. I'd like to talk a little bit about baseball. One of my favorite subjects sometimes, depends on if my team is winning. Now, we are in Texas, so I might remind you about your teams. They are in the baseball league. Don't get the wrong idea when you watch them play. That is baseball. And one of these days, something's going to work out okay. Because hope always beats eternal. But anyway, baseball is really interesting. I mean, different from any other sport. Really different, you know? For instance, most sports you score points or goals. Baseball, you score runs. Most games and sports, the ball or the object is put into play by the offensive team. In baseball, the defense puts the ball in play, and only the defensive team is allowed to touch the ball. In fact, if an offensive player touches the ball intentionally in baseball, he's out. Most teams, most sports, the team is run by a coach. Baseball, the team is run by a manager. And only in baseball does the manager wear the same uniform the players do. If you had ever seen Tom Landry in his Dallas Cowboys uniform, you would know the reason for this custom. Now, baseball and football are different from one another in many other kind of interesting ways. It's a 19th century pastoral game. Football is a 20th century technological struggle. Baseball is played on a diamond in a park, the baseball park. Football is played on a gridiron in a stadium, sometimes called Soldier Field or War Memorial Stadium. And everything is dying. In football, you wear a helmet. In baseball, you wear a cap. Football is concerned with downs.
What down is it?
Baseball is concerned with ups. Who's up? Are you up? I'm not up. He's up.
In football, the specialist comes in to kick.
In baseball, the specialist comes in to relieve someone.
In football, you receive a penalty.
In baseball, you make an error.
Whoops! Football has hitting, clipping, spearing, piling on, personal fouls, late hitting, and unnecessary roughness.
Baseball has the sacrifice.
Football is played in any kind of weather. Rain, snow, sleet, hail, mud, can't read the uniform numbers, can't read the yard markers, the struggle will continue.
In baseball, if it rains, we don't go out to play. I can't come out to play, it's raining out. Baseball has the 7th inning stretch.
Football has the 2-minute warning.
Baseball has no time limit. We don't know when it's going to end. We might have extra innings.
Football is rigidly timed, and it will end even if we have to go to sudden death.
In baseball, during the game in the stands, there's kind of a picnic feeling. Emotions may run high or low, but there's not that much unpleasantness.
In football, in the stands during the game, you can be sure that at least 27 times you are perfectly capable of taking the life of a fellow human being. Preferably a stranger.
And finally, the objectives of the two games are totally different, absolutely different. In football, the object is for the quarterback, otherwise known as the field general, to be on target with his aerial assault, riddling the defense by hitting his receivers with deadly accuracy, in spite of the blitz, even if he has to use the shotgun. With short bullet passes and long bombs, he marches his troops into enemy territory, balancing this aerial assault with a sustained ground attack which punches holes in the forward wall of the enemy's defensive line. In baseball, the object is to go home and to be safe. I'm going home. I hope I'll be safe at home.
Enough of that. Thank you. Now, you know how you piss off a feminist? Run into Now Headquarters or Ms. Magazine and say, hey, which one of you cute little cupcakes wants to come home with me and cook me a nice meal and give me a blowjob? Blowjob's over here. Oh, that pisses them off. You want to piss off a feminist? Call her a cum catcher. That'll get her attention. Ah, don't act disgusted. Half of you are going to go home and go down on each other tonight, remember? If you're willing to swallow cum, let's not make believe something I said was disgusting, all right? Let's not have a double standard here. Now, speaking of blowjobs. You know why they call it a blowjob? So it'll sound like it has kind of a work ethic attached to it. Make you feel like you did something useful for the economy. Let me ask you guys a question. As long as I'm being a complete pig about this, let me ask you guys a question. Are you ever able to watch a woman eating a banana and not think about a blowjob? Huh? I cannot do it. And I know why. I'm a sick, evil fuck. I know that. But I cannot do it. Eating a banana, eating a pickle, licking on an ice cream cone. I'm saying, look at the tongue on her. So you women, be careful when you're standing out in front of that Haagen-Dazs. Because goddamn it, we're watching. And goddamn it, we're thinking. Another woman's issue, prostitution. I do not understand why prostitution is illegal. Why should prostitution be illegal? Selling is legal, fucking is legal. So why isn't selling fucking legal? Huh? Why should it be illegal to sell something that's perfectly legal to give away? I can't follow the logic on that at all. I mean, of all the things you can do to a person, giving someone an orgasm is hardly the worst thing in the world. In the Army, they give you a medal for spraying napalm on people. Civilian life, you go to jail for giving someone an orgasm. Am I missing something here? You know what I think they ought to do with that Miss America contest?
I think they ought to make the losers keep coming back until they win. That would get pretty goddamn spooky looking after about 30 or 40 years, wouldn't it? I just want to work on world hunger. Fine, sit down before you fall down, will you? And pick up all these goddamn batons. Now, speaking of orgasms, I'd like to tell you a little something personal about myself. I never fucked a 10. Never have had the good luck so far to fuck a 10. But one night, I fucked 5 2s. Okay? All right. And I think that ought to count. See, what I'm proudest of, never fucked a 1. Never fucked well, never got drunk enough. You gotta take a lot of chemicals, Jack. Right in a row. To even talk to a 1, much less actually fuck one. Of course, some guys will fuck anybody, we know that. There's usually one guy in every crowd who will fuck absolutely anybody. You say, hey, let's fuck her. That's a coat rack, Bob. So, looking good. Some guys will fuck anybody. Not me. Not anymore. Well, I mean, not since herpes and AIDS have been floating around. You know, I'm playing it a little bit safer these days. Aren't you being a little more careful? In fact, I'm being so careful now, I'm not even jerking off anymore. Well, I don't know where I've been. I'm even advocating safe sex in fantasies. Well, you know, if you're going to lie in bed alone at night and make believe you're fucking someone, for God's sakes, put a condom on. You guys, it doesn't take long out of your fantasy to get up and go over and get a condom. She's not going anywhere, that's for sure. Huh? In fact, if you work your fantasy correctly, you can probably talk her into getting up and going and getting one for you. Then I got to thinking about bisexuals, thinking what an awful life that must be, huh? What a curse it must be to be a bisexual. Can you imagine wanting to fuck everybody you meet? Think of all the phone numbers you'd wind up with. You might as well just walk around with the white pages under your arm. I'd like to tell you my favorite sex fantasy. Well, my favorite, actually, my most frequent, which is a little refinement there on terms. I've always wanted to work in a delicatessen so that one day a woman would come in and ask me to give her a pound of tongue. And I'd say, well, I don't get off till 4 o'clock. And she'd say, well, I don't get off at all. That's why I want some tongue. So far, it hasn't happened. But I do continue to hang around the deli wearing a small white paper hat in hopes that a loose woman should wander by. Now, speaking of pussy, I'd like to talk a little about cats. I'd like to talk about cats, because we mentioned dogs, and we got to give the cats their part of the time, their fair share in the spotlight. Cats, of course, are completely different from dogs. Whole different story, as everybody knows, completely different set of rules. And there are a lot of people, in fact, who don't like cats. There are people that are pretty, and they're open about it. They're fairly vocal and direct about how they feel about cats, as opposed to people who don't like dogs. You notice that difference? Like, people who don't like dogs will say to you, well, I don't care for dogs. But people who don't like cats will say, I hate them fucking things, get him out of here! Get him out of here! I'll strangle him and I'll strangle your children! Okay, Dan. Okay. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have the cat and our children put to death because we so admire a man with a reasoned argument. And unfortunately, it is mostly men who feel this way about cats. I have found in my studies, incomplete though they may be, it's men who don't like cats. Now, that's a generalization, but like most generalizations, it's 100% true. It's men who don't like cats because men like something they can hit and it'll stick around. Men like something they can whack that don't whack back. So for this kind of a mentality, dogs are perfect. You know, because dogs are not dogs. Dogs don't have dogs. They're fucking dumb. Is what it is. Dogs are fucking dumb. A lot of brains is not found inside a dog's head. A denser group of protoplasm has not trotted down the evolutionary turnpike in many a goddamn eon. Dogs are fucking dumb. Now, people will tell you how smart. You ever notice some people tell you how smart their dogs are? Check these people out very carefully. Dogs can be made to appear intelligent by performing a series of meaningless tricks in exchange for a meatloaf. That's not intelligence, that's fucking hunger. Deprivation and hunger. Dogs are so dumb, you can hit a dog and tell him to stay, and he'll do it. Now I feel that's fairly dumb. Stay! Whoa, shit, must be a trick. Maybe there's a lamb chop in the deal. Cats will not do that. You know, cats will not do that. You hit a cat, he'll say, fuck you, I'm getting out of here. Bullshit, where's my cat hat? I'm going downtown and fuck 300 of my friends. That's what cats do when they get upset. They fuck 300 of their friends. Then they go looking for some food behind a restaurant, they eat some fish and come home at 2 in the morning picking their teeth and saying, well, I might stay and I might not. Because cats are independent, if nothing else, right? Cats are independent. Cat don't care about you. Cat will look right at you and go, fuck you! Because cats have things to do. Dog ain't got a goddamn thing to do. What do dogs do on their day off? They can't lie around. That's their job. So get up and walk around. It's your goddamn day off. So I always tell people who don't like dogs or people who are indifferent to dogs to get a little one. I'm sorry, cats. People, these cat haters, I say start with a kitty cat. Get you a teeny one. Let them grow on you, you know? That's the way you learn to love a little cat. Because that's when they're the cutest, when they're little. That's when they're the fluffiest. They're fluffy. And they're frisky. You know? And physically, they can do anything. A little cat, any gymnastic event that was ever invented, a little cat can do it. A little cat can jump straight up in the air with no preparation. You ever seen one of them standing perfectly still? Just standing absolutely still, and suddenly he goes, say, holy shit, how did he do that? He didn't even go. They can do anything. And they've got the sharpest claws in the universe. Don't they? When they're little, they got some sharp claws. You can take a little cat and stick him on a wall. And by God, he'll stay there. A little cat will stay there because he doesn't know that's not where he belongs. An older cat says, hey, bullshit, jumps down. A little cat says, well, maybe this is it. And he'll stay there until his weight to claw ratio changes. Oh, they got some sharp claws. Every one of their claws is sharp, including that extra one they got up near the elbow. What the hell is that one for? I'd tear that one off, don't you? Oh, yeah. Right at the pet shop, before I pay for them, I clean them up. Tear off everything they don't seem to need. What the fuck are you doing with an extra claw? They like that when you're firm but gentle. Then, when your little cat grows up, or I should say if your little cat grows up, that's when they really become fun to watch, isn't it? When they're fully mature and they have that grace and that kind of economy of motion, you know. They don't seem to waste any motion. Everything's accounted for. It's like a closed energy system, you know. And they're so interesting, especially when they're washing themselves. when they're washing themselves, which is only about 96% of the time, actually. What I want to know is, when do these animals have a chance to get dirty? They're always washing. You can't get dirty washing. Can you? Wash, 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 lick, 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 lick. That's all they're ever doing. And have you ever noticed that sometimes when your cat is washing himself, sometimes he'll stop and look at you like he just remembered something really important. Say, shit, I've got a dental appointment. And how does a cat know where to wash next on his body? You know, because they never wash their whole bodies all at once, do they? You never see a cat sit down and give himself a complete body job. They don't do that. They wash a little section. Then they go run away, get dirty, come back and wash a different section. Well, how do they know which section is next? I don't think they really know. I think they're bullshitting us. I think they run in a room, pick a spot, and hope it's dirty. I had one cat wash nothing but this arm his whole life. Over and over, 16 hours a day, all the time. I had it constantly, left front arm, always washing. Beautiful arm, filthy over here. And cats swallow that dirt, you know. Yes, they do. You never see a cat go... Folks, they eat that shit. Keep that in mind next time you're nose to nose with your cute little kitty cat. Technically, he's a vacuum cleaner bag with hair on the outside. One last thing about cats, and this is something a lot of people are not aware of. A cat will blink when hit with a hammer. It's a long blink. Fucking me out! It's a long blink, but it does qualify as a blink, providing the eyes open again. If the eyes don't open again, well, just means you hit them too hard. So be kind to your fuzzy and furry little friends, and they'll be good to you too. Don't ever make a coat out of a domestic pet. They really don't like that. And you'd have to admit, we do kill some beautiful animals in this culture to make coats for some ugly people. All right. Okay. Now, I was a Catholic when I was a little boy. I was a Catholic till I was about 7. As soon as I reached the age of reason, they lost me. Because that's what the church does, as you probably know. They try to gain control of your mind before you actually know how to use it. It's an unfair advantage they have on children, and it's not a nice thing to do to a child. But that's the way they run their game, and sometimes you get lucky in life. I got lucky. I was sitting in high mass one Sunday when I was 7 years old, and it just all struck me at once. I thought, hey, these people are kneeling down, singing in Latin, burning incense, and worshiping bread. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I was gone. But you don't just drop it all by the wayside and walk away from it. Most good ex-Catholics will tell you that. It has a hold on you at levels you're not even aware of, because it is a brainwashing, it is an indoctrination, and it starts the day you're baptized. So they got you in a lot of ways. You might clear everything up here, but it's like swamp shit. You never can wash it all off, you know? It's like you can take 1,000 showers and someone is still going to say, Catholic? So I do have probably at some level the remains or the whatever you want to call it. But at the conscious level, I feel fairly free of it, except for this one fantasy. We were talking about fantasies. This one Catholic fantasy, I'm hoping that someday a new pope will choose the name Corky. I'm just dying to see a pope on that balcony, His Holiness Pope Corky the 12th. I think it would be, well, I think you get to go right to 12, to give him a little credibility. To me, Pope Corky the First doesn't command a great deal of authority. Now, why is that an amusing thought on some evenings? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that is the quality and property of names, to either be appropriate or immediately inappropriate. Names seem to belong in certain places.
Certain stations in life seem to suggest the kind of names that ought to be associated with them. You don't find many people on death row named Huntington Schuyler IV, do you? Probably says a little more about our justice system than it does about names, but it is true. And you will not find a lot of brain surgeons named Lucky Pizzarelli. You'll know this country is in deep trouble when we have a president named Booger. We get a president named Booger, Skeeter, Stump, Night Train, T-Bone, or Downtown President Brown. And you'll know that names are out of whack. Now, I happen to like and enjoy first names. I'm still waiting for Hurricane Ed. That doesn't sound very harmful, does it? Sound like it would be a kind of a friendly hurricane. Hurricane Ed. Hell no, we're not evacuating. Ed's coming. That would be like Hurricane Vinny. Vinny? I fucking know the guy. First names tell you a lot. Guess the white guy. Okay? Guess the white guy. Odell, Tyrone, Fontaine, and Skippy. Guess the black girl. Anne, Ellen, Marie, and Donzella. Well, I think I gave it away by emphasizing the key names. Some people have suggestive names, don't they? I don't know how a guy can go through life with a name like Peter. That would be so embarrassing. Hi, I'm Peter. Well, whatever you think, you know. I get embarrassed with these guys. I'm always saying, do you mind if I call you Pete? Can I call you, is that okay, Pete? Okay, Pete, I'd like you to meet my friend, Dick. Dick, what's your last name? Cox. Dick Cox. Dick Cox, I'd like you to meet Peter Bush. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Having a president whose name means the same thing as the hair on your balls? God. How is that going to look in Geneva, you know? Those diplomats are conservative people. They find out this guy's name means crotch hair, look out. And quail means pussy, isn't that right? Quail means pussy. It's not as popular a usage as it used to be. But when I was a kid, bush and quail were a couple of words to get you kicked out of school for a day or two. Now they're in the goddamn White House. Then you got that guy in China, Dung. How'd you like to be at a meeting with Bush, Quail, and Dung? Jesus Christ, open a fucking window in here, will you? Somebody light a match. Some people have funny names, they can't help it. They go through life with a funny name. And it's hard on you because you got to keep a straight face. Do you ever try to keep a straight face when you're meeting some guy named El Canto Priccolini? Sometimes farmers have funny names like Orville Pig Dicker and Hooter Stumpfuck. Speaking of funny names, you realize Howdy Doodie's mother and father are known as the Doodies? And Bo Diddley's mother and father are the Diddleys. Well, how'd you like to be at a party and have to introduce the Doodies to the Diddleys? And keep a straight face? I'd never make it. By the time I get finished with Mr. and Mrs. Doody, I'd like to meet Mr. and Mrs. Diddley, Mr. Diddley, Mr. Doody, Mr. Doody, Mrs. Diddley, Mrs. Diddley, Mrs. Diddley, Mrs. Doody, Mrs. Doody, Mr. Diddley, the Diddleys, the Doodies, the Diddleys. By the time you get finished with that shit, who would show up? Bo Diddley's brother, Dudley Diddley. And Howdy Doody's two brother, Rudy Doody, and Judy Drudy, and Trudy Doody. And here comes Dottie and Dee and Dodie Diddley. God damn. And the old guy in the corner, Granddaddy Doody. I'd never make it. I'd be over at the punch bowl all night with a fucking siphon. Saying, please, God, don't let Rudy Kazootie show up. Certain names I don't like. The way they name these singles bars. You ever notice these singles bars got the same kind of names, all of them? Got these one-word names that end in S. Scamps, tramps, chats, rumors, cahoots, cheers, chances, chuckles. Hey, if I had a singles bar, you know what I'd call it? Nipples and dicks. A little truth in advertising. The Sperm Club. Snatchorama. The Crotcheteria. Frankie's Fuckery. Cafe Vagina, open all night. I think names ought to be descriptive of the operation inside. It'd be a good name for a gay restaurant. The Mouthful.
Well, you don't have to eat there. It's enough just to go in and have a cocktail. I got you. I got you in spite of yourselves. Don't give me that groaning shit. You reveal more about yourself when you groan than you do about the joke. That's a rule of thumb in comedy. Absolutely. Yeah, well, we got some interesting... I'd like to have a motel. I'm thinking of opening up a motel and calling it the Sleep and Fuck. Now, wouldn't that be a good name for a motel? Give me one of them neon signs. Sleep, fuck. Sleep, fuck. Sleep, fuck. Sleep and fuck. Sleep and fuck. Sleep, fuck. Or, well, actually, fuck and sleep would be a little more appropriate, wouldn't it? Got to keep things in the right order in life, don't you? Actually, the best name for a motel would be the fuck and smoke and sleep and get out of bed and go wash your crotch and come back and buy 2 cans of Coca-Cola and fuck around a whole lot more. That would be the best name for it. That would be a good name. But I think you'd have a lot of trouble fitting that on the matchbook cover, don't you? They got a new restaurant in Southern California for bulimia victims called the Scarf and Barf. Well, they were going to call it the Fork and Bucket. Thank God, good taste prevailed. How about a restaurant for anorexics called Nothing for Me, Thanks? Somehow I can't feel sorry for an anorexic, can you? Rich cunt, don't want to eat? Fuck her! Don't eat, I give a shit. I'm supposed to be worried. I don't want to eat! Go fuck yourself. Why don't you lie down in front of a train after you don't eat? What kind of a goddamn disease is that? I don't want to eat! How do we come up with this shit? You know, I don't know where we get our values in this country. Bulimia, there's another thing. Bulimia. This has got to be the only country in the world that could ever have come up with a disease like bulimia. Got to be the only country where some people have no food and other people eat a nice meal and puke it up intentionally. Where's the morality in that? You know? I don't understand our values. By the way, speaking of American values, aren't we about due to start bombing some small country that doesn't have an air force? Seems to me like it's been about 6 months since we've done that. We really ought to be out there doing what we do best, making holes in other people's countries. We're so goddamn warlike. We're so warlike in this country. We're not invading or bombing some helpless country. We're declaring war on something at home. Everything we don't like about ourselves, we declare war on. We can't get away from that war metaphor. We got a war on poverty, a war on crime, the war on litter, the war on cancer, the war on drugs. Did you ever notice we got no war on homelessness? No. No war on homelessness. You know why? There's no fucking money in it, that's why. No one stands to get rich off of the problem. That's why they're not going to find a solution to that problem. Goddamn right. Listen, you come up with a solution to homelessness where the businessmen and politicians can steal a couple of $1 million each, and you'll see the streets begin to clear up pretty fast in this country. I'll give you some ideas on homelessness. First thing we ought to do, give the homeless their own magazine. Give them their own magazine. That's a sign of making it in this country. Every group in this country that makes it gets its own magazine. They have Working Mother magazine, Black Entrepreneur magazine, Hispanic Business magazine. Any activity engaged in by more than 4 people in this country has a goddamn magazine devoted to it. Yachting, hiking, jerking off, playing pool, shooting each other in the asshole with a dart gun. They got a fucking magazine for that. Walking! Walking! There's actually a fucking magazine devoted to walking! Look, Dan, the new Walking is out. Here's a good article, putting one foot in front of the other. You know, I say give the homeless their own magazine. You know what you ought to call it? Better Crates and Cartons. Better Crates and Cartons. Then when they get finished reading it, they can use it to line their clothing. That's the kind of solution you get from a American businessman, a good, sound business solution. You know, the kind of answer a conservative American businessman will tell you. Yeah, let them read it, and when they finish reading it, they can use it to plug up the holes in them piano crates to live in. A good, sound, practical, conservative American business solution. I'll give you a couple of solutions, partial anyway. First thing you got to do with homelessness, you got to change the name of this condition. It is not homelessness. It's houselessness. It's houses these people need. A home is an abstract idea. A home is a setting. It's a state of mind. These people need houses, physical, tangible structures. So we need low-cost housing. But where are you going to put it? Nobody wants you to build low-cost housing near their house. People don't want it anywhere near them. We got a thing in this country called NIMBY, N-I-M-B-Y, not in my backyard. Nobody wants any kind of social help located near them. You try to build a little halfway house, you try to open up a little drug rehab center, try to open up a little home for some retarded folks who are trying to work their way into society. People say, not in my backyard. People don't want anything located near them, especially if it might help somebody else. It's called the great American spirit of generosity. Ask the American Indians about this great, generous American spirit. Or if you want current data, ask a black family how they feel about America's spirit of generosity, currently called 1,000 points of light. People don't want anything located near them, even if it's something that they think society needs, like prisons. Everybody wants more prisons. That's the new answer to all of our problems. Build more prisons, but not here. Well, why not? What's the problem? What's wrong with having a prison in your neighborhood? Would seem to me like it would make it a pretty crime-free area, don't you think? You think a lot of crack dealers and muggers are going to be hanging around in front of a fucking prison? Bullshit, they ain't coming anywhere near it. They're nowhere near it. What are these people's problems? You know, all the criminals are locked up behind the walls, and if a couple of them do break out, what do you think they're going to do? Hang around? Check real estate prices? Bullshit. They're fucking gone. The whole idea of breaking out of prison is to get the fuck as far away as you possibly can. NIMBY, not in my backyard. People don't want anything located near them except military bases. They don't mind that, do they? They like that. Give me an army base, give me a navy base. They like that. Why? Jobs. Selfish, self-interest, jobs. Even if the base is loaded with nuclear weapons, they don't give a fuck. Because I'll take a little radiation if I can get a job. These people have been fucked over and whipsawed so long, that's the kind of decisions they're coming to. I'll tell you something you ought to do about homelessness. We need low-cost housing, okay, all right, you know where you put it? Because we need a place to build it. We're agreeing on that. Nobody wants it near them. Golf courses. Golf courses. Build some housing for the homeless. Just what we need. Golf courses. Lots of good land in nice neighborhoods. Land that is currently being wasted on a meaningless, mindless activity engaged in primarily by white, well-to-do male businessmen who use the game to get together to make deals to carve up this country a little finer among themselves. I am getting tired of these golfing assholes in their yellow pants and their green pants and their fucking plaid knickers. It's time to reclaim the golf courses from the wealthy and turn them over to the homeless. It is an arrogant, elitist game, and it takes up entirely too much space in this country. Really an arrogant game. Think of how big a golf course is. The ball is that fucking big! What is all the fucking land needed for? Arrogant, elitist game. Think of this. Over 17,000 golf courses in this country. 17,000 of these places. Each of them averages about 150 acres. That's over 3 million acres. That's 4,800 square miles. You could build 2 Rhode Islands and a Delaware for the homeless on the land that is currently devoted to this mindless, fucking boring activity of all the fucking boring pastimes. Did you ever watch golf on TV? It's like watching flies fuck. And mindless. Think of the intelligence. Think of the brains it takes to play golf. Hitting a ball with a crooked stick and then walking after it. And then hitting it again. I say, pick it up, asshole. You're lucky you found the fucking thing. Put it in your pocket and go the fuck home. No, he's going to hit it and walk some more. Let these rich cocksuckers play miniature golf. Let them fuck with a windmill for an hour and a half. See how they like that. You know what I mean? Goddamn right. Now, I know there are some people who play golf who aren't rich. Shame on them for consorting with the enemy and engaging in an elitist, arrogant game. I'll tell you another place we might put up some housing. Cemeteries. There's another idea whose time is past. Saving all the dead bodies in one part of town. What kind of medieval religious bullshit is that? Superstitious shit. Plow these motherfuckers up. Plow them into the rivers and the streams. We need that phosphorus for farming. See, I have solutions. You know the only trouble? Nobody calls. Never get a call from Congress. I got a lot of good ideas, not just public policy, marketplace ideas, things we ought to have in the marketplace. You want to hear a good idea? Here's one. This is targets on Kleenex. Little bullseyes right in the middle of the Kleenex. Wouldn't that be fun when you're with your friends? Look, Dave, an 85. See, that's a good idea. I got a lot of good ideas. Trouble is, most of them suck. I got good ideas for new products. How about a diet salad dressing called 500 Islands? Huh? Good goddamn idea. A Christian deodorant, thou shalt not smell. A Jewish laxative, let my people go. How about a roach spray? It doesn't kill the roaches, but it fills them with self-doubt as to whether or not they're in the right house. Here's something I'm trying to interest the Japanese electronics firms in. This would be a good product for Sony or somebody. It's a combination cassette player and colostomy bag. It's called Shit Man. Well, you never see one of them, do you? You never see one of those jogging assholes running down the street listening to a shit man, do you? No. That's one of those things you never see. There's a lot of things you never see, and you don't know you don't see them because you don't see them. You got to see something first to realize you never saw it. Then you say, hey, I never saw that. Too late, you just saw it. I know things you never see. You never see a Rolls Royce with a bumper sticker that says shit happens. You never see a really big, tall, fat Chinese guy with red hair. You never see a wheelchair with a roll bar. You never see someone taking a shit while running at full speed. And you never see a picture of Margaret Thatcher strapping on a dildo. They don't release those pictures. Then there are some things you never hear. Some things you never hear. You never hear this. Dad, you really ought to drink more. Here's something you don't hear too often. Do what you want to the girl, but leave me alone. Here is something no one has ever heard, ever, in the history of hearing. Ever before tonight. As soon as I put this hot poker in my ass, I'm going to chop my dick off. No one's ever heard that. You know why? Right, no one's ever said that. Which to me is even more amazing. No one before tonight ever thought to put those words together in that particular order. 50,000 years we've had speech on this planet. Billions of people have lived. They all had a chance. No one said it before me. As soon as I put this hot poker in my ass, I'm going to chop my dick off. Now we're down to once every 25,000 years. If I keep this up, it might become an old saying. Here's one you don't hear too often. Honey, let's sell the children, move to Zanzibar, and begin taking opium rectally. Mom, I got a big date tonight. Can I borrow a French tickler from you? Then there are some things you don't want to hear. Some things you just really don't want to hear. Brace yourselves if you're a groaning audience. And you are. You don't want to hear this. You don't want to come home from work and hear, honey, remember how we told the children never to play on the railroad tracks? You just don't want to hear that, do you? You don't want to be sitting in your doctor's office and hear, well, Jim, there's no reason why you shouldn't live another 20 years. However, you will be bleeding constantly from both eyes. Here's something I don't want to hear. I'm pregnant, you're the father, and I'm going to kill all three of us. Hey, calm down. Have some dip. Here's something nobody wants to hear. You and your fiancé have been invited to your mom and dad's house for dinner for the first time. First time. Halfway through dinner, your fiancé stands up and says, I'll be right back. I gotta take a dump. There seems to be no really genteel way of announcing publicly a dump. And frankly, I'm not impressed with people who tell me what they're going to do when they go to the bathroom in the first place. Doesn't that bother you guys who announce it to you? I'm going to take a shit. I'll be right back. Never mind. Do what you have to do and leave me out of it. And don't describe it when you come back. Boy, you should have seen. Never mind. It set off the smoke alarm. Never mind!
One of the things about language that I've been noticing in American English is this increasing use of euphemism that we rely on. It says, well, Americans really have a hard time dealing with reality. That's a fact about us anyway. Americans really can't face the truth. That's why they like television, because television's full of shit. And television will tell you anything you want to hear. They'll give you the news, they'll give you a 4-second soundbite, 20-second story, and they keep telling you what's coming up next. They don't dwell too much on what they just said, do they? But they keep saying, in the next segment, in the next half hour, coming up on the 6 o'clock news, coming up tonight at 11. They're always telling you what the fuck is coming. I say, if it's news, tell me now, asshole. The fuck is all this putting it off? Coming up soon, next up, soon, next up, next. Well, fuck them anyway. That's part of not dealing with reality. Well, let's just put it off. Americans basically want a blender. That's all the fuck they want to be happy. They don't want to know about a deficit. They don't want to know about AIDS. They don't want to know about nuclear reactors. And they don't want to know about the infrastructure. They want to know about a $600 toilet seat and can I buy a blender at the mall? Is there a fucking blender on sale? Let's go to the mall and get a blender, honey. And that'll take care of everything. Well, that's too bad because the shit's going to crack all around us. But that's fine. That's going to be fun. That's entertainment. That's why the Middle East is to me. Entertainment. I love that shit going on in the Middle East. Ancient hatreds with modern weapons. Holy shit, what a good combination, you know? I hope they never solve that shit. I want to see a lot of motherfuckers die. Anytime religious people are killing one another, I'm a happy motherfucker. I don't care what religion they're in. I don't give a fuck what religion they're in. Kill those cocksuckers. I'm glad they're having a bad time, and I hope they blow each other up. And fuck it, if it happens to us too, I don't give a shit. But anyway, I want to talk about euphemism, because euphemism is getting worse and worse, because we love to like conceal reality from ourselves by giving ourselves this kind of soft, kind of fluffy, easy language. And it's getting worse with time. That's my point. It is getting worse with every generation. First World War, give you an example. There is a combat condition that most people know about. When someone can't handle any more pressure in combat, no more stress, they are either flipped or getting ready to flip. In the First World War, way back, First World War, they called that condition shell shock. Good, simple, honest, direct language, 2 syllables, shell shock. Huh? That's over 70 years ago. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. Shell shock. Direct, honest. Generation goes by, Second World War comes along, same combat condition, they call it battle fatigue. 4 syllables now, takes a little longer to say, doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Very well by that time. The very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now, and the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's a very neutral phrase. Operational exhaustion sounds like something that might happen to your Jeep.